Breaking, and I mean drop your phone breaking, Jasmine has just blown the entire love and hip-hop universe to smithereens. And no, this isn't one of those tired reunion clapbacks or wig-snatching moments VH1 milks for ratings. This is different. This is the scandal of scandals. Picture it, cameras rolling, lights blazing, cast sipping their green room tea. And then Jasmine slides a photo across the table so casually you'd think she was handing over a Starbucks receipt. But it wasn't coffee she was serving, it was chaos. A toddler, a smile, a gap tooth you could see from space, and yes, folks, the Kirk Frost gap on camera. And if you thought Rasheeda was gonna jump up, throw a drink, and call security, think again. She froze, she stared, she collapsed. Not into a faint, into a silent, soul-snatching heartbreak that even VH1's shady editing couldn't make look cute. And oh, the internet? The internet lost its mind, memes, hashtags, conspiracy threads. Not again, Kirk, trending worldwide. But the real question is, was this really about the baby, or is Jasmine just playing 4D chess in a game Rasheeda didn't even know she was in? Buckle up, Dot, so let's break this down, because the streets, and by streets, I mean the Twitter threads, messy Facebook antis, and shade rooms of the internet are already building 10 different timelines of this chaos. And if we are going to understand the magnitude of what just happened, we have to rewind the tape and look at the people involved and why this one single photograph managed to send the whole love and hip-hop Atlanta production into a tailspin. First, you have Kirk Frost, a man who somehow treats scandal like it is an Olympic sport, and he has been in training since the early 2000s. Every season, every year, there is a new headline, a new whisper, a new leaked receipt, and every time you think maybe he's going to turn it around, he finds a new way to prove everybody wrong. Then there is Rasheeda, the woman who has built a brand on smiling through the pain, keeping it professional, staying booked and busy while her personal life burns quietly in the background. And she's been here before, she's been blindsided before, and yet she has always found a way to pick up the pieces and present something polished for the cameras. And then there is Jasmine, the wild card, the disruptor, the one who knows how to deliver drama with a quiet hand. No shouting, no drink throwing, just the calm execution of someone who understands that the right moment with the right prop can do more damage than an entire season's worth of screaming matches. So the scene is set. They are filming. The air is tense, but nobody knows why until Jasmine reaches into her purse, pulls out a photograph, and slides it across the table to Rasheeda as if she's handing her a store receipt. No fanfare, no warning, just that smooth little motion that says, I know exactly what I am doing. And Rasheeda picks it up, and for a second, you can see her brain trying to make sense of it. It is a child, a toddler, brown skin, curls soft enough to look like they were painted, a shy little smile, and then the detail that turns the room cold. The gap, that unmistakable Kirk Frost gap right between the teeth, the kind of feature you cannot explain away with coincidence. The silence that follows is heavy, almost unnatural. Nobody is moving. The crew is holding their breath. Even the background noise seems to disappear, and Rasheeda is just sitting there, staring, her fingers trembling around the edges of that glossy paper like she is holding a piece of evidence in a murder trial. And then Jasmine breaks the silence, not with a shout, not with some performative shade, but with a voice so calm it almost makes it worse, saying that the child in the photo is not hers biologically, that his name is Zidane, and that he is Kirk's second child from yet another woman. It is the kind of statement that does not just drop, it detonates, and you can feel the shock ricochet around the room. Rasheeda's mother is not there yet, production is not stepping in, nobody is yelling. Cut, and Rasheeda is frozen, her entire face an expression of disbelief and pain. Then Jasmine pulls out her phone and plays a voice memo, and the sound of another woman's voice fills the room, soft but steady, explaining that she did a private DNA test, that she did not know about Jasmine or Rasheeda at the time, and that the results came back showing 99.9% that Kirk is the father. The name of the woman is Maya, someone completely outside of the show, a civilian in this reality TV war, but now she is part of the truth. The weight of it lands and Rasheeda stands slowly, her voice breaking just enough to say that she cannot do this again, then not again, hanging in the air like a warning. Jasmine is shaking, but she holds her ground, saying she is not here to drag Rasheeda, but to expose Kirk because he has been lying to everyone. And then the door opens and in storms Miss Charlene, Rasheeda's mother, scarf tight, eyes blazing, and she is not here to play polite. She calls out the situation immediately. Another baby, another woman, and her anger fills every corner of the room. That is when Rasheeda's composure cracks. She turns to her mother and admits that when the cameras finally pick back up, the energy on set is different, and by different, I mean tense enough to slice through with a butter knife, and everyone is pretending to be focused on their own conversations, while their eyes keep darting toward the hallway where Rasheeda might appear. The producers are whispering in corners, debating whether to approach her with a plan or just let her walk into the fire without warning, because from a television standpoint, this is the kind of raw reaction you cannot manufacture. Jasmine is back on set, but she is quieter now, sitting off to the side scrolling through her phone like she has no idea the internet is calling her every name under the sun. From homewrecker to whistleblower to villain to hero, depending on who you ask. Kirk still has not shown his face, and word is he is holed up at a friend's condo trying to figure out a statement that will make him look less like a man who cannot stop creating new branches on his family tree. Rasheeda eventually walks in, sunglasses on, hair pulled into a tight bun, no makeup except for a slick of gloss. And she does not greet anyone, she just heads straight for her seat. There is a stillness to her that is almost scarier than anger. Like she's beyond shouting, beyond cursing, in that zone where silence says more than words. The cameras start rolling, and before anyone can speak, she takes off her glasses and says she's been humiliated enough times on this stage, but today is the first time she feels like she's being filmed at her own funeral. The room freezes, and the host tries to gently steer the conversation toward clarification, asking her if she believes the photo and the voice memo are real, and she answers with one word, yes. She says she knows the gap, she knows the eyes, and she knows the patterns of her husband's betrayals, and this time she is not going to pretend she is unsure. Jasmine jumps in to say she understands how it looks, but she only brought the evidence because she found out Kirk had been lying to her as well, making promises that he was not with Rasheeda when in reality he was playing both sides. She says Maya had no idea who Rasheeda was until the DNA test came back and the whole truth started spilling out. The host tries to guide the discussion, but Miss Charlene takes control, leaning forward and pointing out that Kirk has done this before, and the only reason it keeps happening is because people keep forgiving him and letting him back in the house. She says the cycle will not end until someone ends it for good. In the middle of this, Kirk finally walks in wearing a hoodie pulled low and a look on his face like he is walking into a courtroom. He sits down slowly, eyes on the floor, and when the host asks him directly if the child is his, he stammers and says he has not seen the official paperwork. Jasmine interrupts and says she has it on her phone right now if he wants to look. The tension spikes as she holds out the screen, and Kirk refuses to even glance at it, muttering that he is not going to address this on camera. That refusal hits Rasheeda harder than any admission could because it reads like an unspoken confirmation, and she quietly says that she cannot fight for a man who will not even fight for the truth. The host tries to pivot, but the damage is done. And now the entire cast is whispering while production scrambles to keep the energy from collapsing completely. Off-camera crew members are leaking more details to gossip blogs, and one blog posts an alleged bank statement showing Kirk paying Maya's rent for 6 consecutive months under a fake business name. The story explodes further, drawing in fans from outside the love and hip-hop world, with people on Instagram Lives analyzing every detail and debating whether Rasheeda will finally walk away or once again try to rebuild. Kirk is cornered, but he is still clinging to silence, leaving Rasheeda to carry the emotional weight alone. Meanwhile, Maya has been found by reporters and is giving vague statements about not wanting to ruin anyone's marriage but standing by the truth of her DNA results. The network is now worried because the reunion is days away, and if Rasheeda refuses to appear, they lose their central storyline. Offers are being made behind the scenes, more money, more creative control, anything to get her to agree, but she keeps turning them down. Friends close to her say she's been spending more time with her mother and has not been at the store, canceling events and ignoring calls from sponsors. This is no longer just a messy reality TV plotline, it is threatening her brand and her income. The cast is split, some siding with Jasmine for exposing the truth, others calling her reckless for dropping a bomb without thinking of the collateral damage. The online conversation is ruthless, with memes comparing Kirk to a character from a soap opera who cannot stop impregnating women, and others mocking Rasheeda for staying so long. But under all the noise is a growing wave of support for her. People saying she deserves peace, she deserves to put herself first, and she deserves a life without constant betrayal. The pressure on Kirk is building, but he is still avoiding direct answers, telling friends he will handle it privately while his actions keep spilling into public view. There are whispers about legal trouble too, because if he's been hiding income to support another household, it could turn into a tax issue. Producers are smelling blood in the water, but also realizing they might be about to film the most uncomfortable reunion in franchise history. Everyone is watching, waiting, and wondering if Rasheeda will even sit next to Kirk when the cameras go live again. And the truth is, nobody knows because she's keeping her next move locked down tighter than fort. The day of the reunion finally arrives, and the atmosphere backstage feels like the calm before a hurricane, with crew members rushing around setting up lights while the cast sits in their dressing rooms in tense silence. Rasheeda arrives last, dressed in an all-black suit with sharp shoulders and a diamond choker. Her hair styled sleek and her face flawless, looking like a woman who has decided she will not be broken on camera again. Kirk is already seated on the opposite side of the stage, and he barely looks up when she enters, his body language closed off and his hands clasped tightly together. Jasmine is positioned a few seats down from him, legs crossed, eyes fixed straight ahead, while Miss Charlene sits next to her daughter with an expression that could cut glass. The host wastes no time diving into the scandal, recapping for the audience the bombshell photo, the voice memo, and the DNA test that allegedly proves Kirk fathered Maya's child. The tension is thick enough to choke on, and the camera keeps catching reaction shots from other cast members who are clearly just here for the spectacle. Kirk is asked directly one more time to respond to the evidence, and once again he says he will not discuss personal matters on television. But this time his voice cracks and his eyes dart toward the floor, betraying a flicker of guilt that does not go unnoticed. Rasheeda takes a deep breath and begins speaking, her tone measured but heavy, saying she's been in this marriage for decades and has stood by her husband through humiliation after humiliation. But this time the weight of the betrayal is not just on her shoulders, it is crushing her spirit. She says that every time she forgave him she thought they were rebuilding something real, but now she sees that the foundation was rotten all along. Jasmine jumps in to defend her decision to bring the truth to light, saying she was tired of carrying the burden of a lie and that she felt Kirk owed it to both women to be honest. Miss Charlene claps her hands once and says it does not take a genius to figure out what is going on here, pointing out that Kirk has a pattern and that patterns do not change without consequences. The audience reacts audibly, and the host struggles to regain control of the conversation as voices begin to overlap. One cast member leans forward and asks Kirk if he at least plans to be involved in the child's life if the DNA is real, and for the first time all day, Kirk raises his head and says quietly that he will always take care of his responsibilities. It is as close to a confirmation as anyone has gotten, and Rasheeda's eyes close briefly, her jaw tightening as if she is sealing away the last bit of hope she had left. The host pivots to discuss the online reaction, reading out tweets and comments from fans who are split between calling Jasmine brave and accusing her of destroying a family, and then moves to the rumors of financial support being funneled to Maya through fake business accounts. Kirk does not deny it, simply saying that people can believe what they want. The producers have clearly prepared for fireworks, but what they are getting instead is a slow, suffocating implosion that feels even more unsettling. During a break in filming, Rasheeda stands and walks off set, ignoring the handlers trying to guide her back, and is followed closely by Miss Charlene. Kirk stays seated, staring at the empty space where she had been, and for a moment the stage feels hollow. When she returns, she sits without looking at him and says directly to the host that she is done trying to make this marriage look perfect for cameras, for fans, or for business deals, because the truth is, it has been broken for a long time. She says she's built her own success, her own name, and she does not need to be tied to someone who treats her loyalty like an option. The studio audience erupts in applause, some cast members nodding in agreement while others exchange nervous glances. Jasmine stays silent now, as if realizing the full weight of what has been set in motion. The conversation shifts briefly to future plans, and Rasheeda says she is focusing on herself and her family, and if Kirk wants to be a father to his children, then that is between him and them, but she will not be the glue holding together a picture that was never real. The host wraps up the segment with a dramatic pause, thanking everyone for their honesty, and the cameras cut But the real drama unfolds in whispers as the cast begins leaving the stage. Word spreads that Rasheeda has already contacted her lawyer about separation papers and that Kirk is scrambling to do damage control with his businesses, worried about contracts being pulled if his image takes another hit. Jasmine is said to have received offers from blogs and talk shows to tell her side of the story in full, and she's considering them carefully, knowing that once she speaks there is no going back. Outside the studio, paparazzi are waiting, and the photos that hit the internet later that night show Rasheeda walking ahead of everyone, head held high while Kirk trails behind looking smaller than ever. Social media explodes again, hashtags multiplying, fan pages posting side-by-side comparisons of the baby and Kirk, commentators dissecting every glance and gesture from the reunion footage. It is clear that this is no longer just a reality TV scandal, it is a public unraveling of a marriage that has been under a microscope for years, and the fallout will not be contained to one episode. As night falls and the internet continues to churn out theories and memes, one truth settles over the entire situation: whatever happens next will change the way people see not just Kirk and Rasheeda, but the entire love and hip-hop brand, because this time the mess has spilled so far into real life that no amount of editing can clean it up. Asterisk. So now the question becomes, what do you think really happened here? Because we have seen the footage, we have heard the accusations, we have watched Rasheeda stand up in front of millions and say she is done, and we have seen Kirk sit there with the kind of silence that sometimes says more than a confession ever could. Is this the final chapter of their story, or just another scandal they will somehow survive like all the others? And what about Jasmine? Does she walk away vindicated, or does she end up carrying the label of homewrecker forever? The evidence is out there, the reactions are everywhere, and the lines between reality TV drama and real-life pain have completely blurred. I want to hear your theories, your takes, your wildest predictions, because if the internet has taught us anything, it is that the fans often uncover more truth than the people involved are willing to admit. Drop your thoughts in the comments, tell me if you think Kirk will finally face real consequences, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next twist in this saga is coming and you will not want to miss it. Asterisk.